Hi again, it's me. This time we are talking about a forgotten game, Need for Speed. The last installment, Need for Speed Payback, was released back in November 2017 and it wasn't liked by many people. The mechanics were different and nothing felt the same. With the rise in more realistic racing games like Forza and Dirt, Need for Speed has been struggling to keep its street racing fame. Here are the rough Metacritic and GameSpot ratings of all the Need for Speed games in the order of the release. A huge fluctuation is shown here, and there was a heavy dip after 2013. Some people may like these recent games, but most of the OG fans know that those games aren't the best of Need for Speed. Many debate that the best NFS game ever released was Most Wanted. No, the original one. I played Most Wanted, the original one, multiple times and I enjoyed it. It was an amazing experience. You had cops, you had blacklists, milestones, bounty, great races, amazing cars, great customization, great storyline with good cutscenes. I can keep going on, and this kept making players come back. But the feeling of this OG NFS died as games passed on. What went wrong? Is it EA's greed for money? Is it because they wanted to experiment with new stuffs? The answer to that is the developers, more or less. I'll tell that why in a bit. We haven't heard anything related to Need for Speed this year in 2019 or the last year in 2018. There was no presence of Need for Speed in E3, no hype, nothing. Their Twitter also seems pretty dead and the fan base seems to have moved on completely from Need for Speed. So I went a little deep into this. What's going on with Need for Speed? Apparently, Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 was developed by EA Canada. So I went further back. Apparently, most of the Need for Speed games before 2012 were developed by EA Seattle, Canada and Black Box. Most of them had an understandable single player, and EA Canada made Most Wanted, which arguably had one of the best single player modes. Underground was made by EA Black Box. Underground 2 was also made by EA Black Box. Those two are one of the most memorable games of Need for Speed as well. Shift was made by Slightly Matched Studios. World was released in 2010, was made by EA Singapore, which was co-ed by EA Black Box. Hot Pursuit Reboot was made by Criterion, which was rating pretty good. Shift 2 was also by Slightly Matched Studios and it had very excellent ratings. The Run, however, was by EA and dipped in ratings. Then the downfall occurred in terms of experience. Need for Speed 2012 Most Wanted was developed by Criterion Softwares, the same guys who made the amazing Burnout franchise and the same guys who made Hot Pursuit, which wasn't bad at all. It wasn't bad. The Most Wanted 2012 was never bad, but it did not have a good single player campaign experience. If you're trying to reboot or remake something called Most Wanted, you gotta make sure it feels Most Wanted. There was nothing familiar. It felt like a different style game. There was no proper rerun mechanic. There was no proper progression systems as well. There was no proper unlock systems. You could literally get the best cars of the game just by googling their name and going to the location they give. Because in this game apparently you don't need to buy cars. You just need to find them lying around all around this map and you just press E or F to exchange the car, and that, my friend, is retarded. It literally made the game feel like a showcase of their work or some sort. It wasn't a game that was made for the people, but it was more like a game that was meant to showcase what they do. NFS Rivals, which was one of my arguably favorite because of its graphics and mechanics, although it did not have a good storyline, external mechanic, op systems and other stuffs, was made by Ghost Games, which, hear this, was formerly EA Gothenburg. So they did not work on any other Need for Speed games and they straight up developed Rivals. EA Black Box, EA Canada and EA Singapore were the main developers who worked on these other titles like Need for Speed Most Wanted and stuff. And these guys, for some reason, which I don't know why, took over Need for Speed. And then Rivals went to hell with the Need for Speed title. They changed Need for Speed entirely. Modern EDM music, no body customization, playing as cops, which was good. New nitrous feelings, a bit different. The feeling of speed was somehow there though, and it made you feel the edge, but it did not have the best single player experience because it felt like a generic racer. Just race after race after race, the cutscenes weren't the best. It was also too easy to lose the cop AI, although they were aggressive, and races were also too easy. Some AI also had some trouble keeping up with the player, and races were pretty easy to dominate. The blur style mechanics rivals had introduced unbalanced the game completely. The last race was long and kind of satisfying, but other than the fact that it was also easy and the cops could be lost easily. There were many issues with this game, but it still had a decent driving mechanic and beautiful sceneries of that time. I keep coming back to this game just because I can free roam and just roam around, listen to the EDF music and relax. And then 2015 NFS came out and it was a reboot. The game looked beautiful, and there is also this always online aspect of the game which is retarded. It was poor and overall dull. Then Payback came 2 years later, and oh god, it felt like they tried too hard. They completely changed the driving mechanics and nitro systems. The cops weren't there in free roam. There was this weird speed card system. Drifting was barely challenging and completely unrealistic and stupidly easy. And then you had microtransactions. Oh god. And the single player was okay. They tried to make you engage in the story, and there were multiple characters you learn about, but it wasn't terrible. The voice acting was shit, plain shit. The car list was meh, there wasn't many good cars and they were more generic. They also restricted the cars to off-road, runner and drift types and other types which I'm not really aware of because I don't remember them. You could drive the cars only suited for that specific build, which was very frustrating. Your best car would be locked to a build, so you couldn't race it with other builds. All of these three games were developed by EA Gothenburg, now called Ghost Games. I wanted to know who is going to develop the upcoming Need for Speed game and whether there is an upcoming Need for Speed game, and dug a bit. So this is what I have found. Ghost Games, yes. After 2 years of failure, Ghost Games is developing the upcoming Need for Speed, and apparently it will be announced or released in 2019. But we never saw it in E3, so what's going on? Then I went to their Twitter. Their latest tweet linked an article about this. They were spicing things up apparently, and they did not want to hype the fan base this time. They just want to release it. The saddest thing, only a few people saw this tweet. The post that they linked to was also old and had very few comments. I read the thread that they linked, and here's what's important to know. The next Need for Speed will be releasing later this year. Yes, releasing, not just announcing. It's gonna happen very fast. I'm scared about this. They haven't even started any marketing campaign so far or anything. Are they making an FS World? Are they making some third-party game? But then they mentioned this. This year is a bit of a special one for Need for Speed. They are turning 25 years, so they want to kickstart their 26 with a great NFS game. So that's a huge hint. It could be an NFS 1 anniversary reboot, or it could be something else. We don't know, but it's definitely something to think about. They're trying to make a big Need for Speed this time. They said that they are firmly looking at the future and not the past. Maybe here they are referring to their previous 3 titles that they have developed, not on the past games like Most Wanted 2005. And apparently customizations on cars will be a major focus on the new game. They will apparently print the NFS feeling into you. I don't know how, but we'll see that later on. There will be teaser posts hitting up in their social media, so make sure you follow them if you want to be one of the first to see the teasers. It's been almost a month and there hasn't been any teaser yet. They will not continue to follow the pattern of the games that they made before, so the mechanics will also be different, I guess. They said that the game will be releasing this year, but they want to make sure it is special. I am not sure if other EA developers will be working on this game, but the Wikipedia and other sources of information hint that it's just going to be Ghost Games. Lastly, they mentioned this. With that, know that we are here. We are building an amazing game that we cannot wait to show off. And the next time we talk, we'll be packing our bags and heading south for the full unveiling. We'll see you then. Oh boy, they are building up high expectations in this post. Maybe that's why they didn't want to hype the entire fanbase. The next game will be the only game that could bring the fanbase back to its prime stage. If they cannot deliver now, they can never make it back to the top. I am very skeptical about it, especially because it's a different developer trying to give you the feeling of the original Need for Speed. when in fact they never made the old games. This is the biggest worry of mine. I think the game could go wrong here. They are trying to deliver what they never made before, so it could go bad. Take a look at 343 Industries. They took after Halo. They made Halo 4 and 5 and other Halo games. Most of these games were massively criticized. But this year they also claimed that they wanted to bring back the feeling of Halo, and they introduced Halo Infinite. So far people are very impressed about it, and it looks pretty good. Most games could be looking up to 343, who knows, maybe they also want to try the same thing. Maybe they will bring Need for Speed Most Wanted back, or maybe some other game back. Maybe they will bring Underground reboot or something else. There's too many possibilities. I can't wait for the new Need for Speed. I really hope they deliver on that promise. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think the next Need for Speed could revive the franchise? Do you think it's too late? Like, comment and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.